welcome to my practice corner. Last week we talked a lot about slow motion practice, inflection in music, and the importance of scales and arpeggios. This week we're going to talk about focus. So, when you were listening to that piece, what were you thinking about? Another question would be, what was I thinking about? It's important to notice what your focus is on when you're practicing, because sometimes our mind can wander. Like, what did I have for lunch today? Or did I let the dog out? Or did I leave the lights on or the oven on? How many things I have to do today that I didn't get done yet? So it's easy to have your mind wander, and it's just going to happen. And you just have to try to train yourself to bring yourself back to what you're doing. So refocus on what you're doing all the time. So for me, what helps me when I'm losing my focus is thinking about my sound. Now, that's a whole other thing. That's our second thing. It's important to really listen to yourself when you're practicing. You're your own best teacher. If it's out of tune, you're going to hear it, and you need to go back and get it and try it again and get it until it's easier. You know, that's why we practice. Just work out the little parts that are not so good at the start and just get them better. So really listen to yourself. It's a challenge, but it will help your playing a lot. Don't just rely on your teacher to do all that work for you. You need to listen to yourself and fix what doesn't sound so great and get it better. So when I lose focus, I try to when I notice that I'm losing focus, I try to shift my focus back to my sounding point. So that's the contact point where the bow hits the string. So your sounding point is really important, and it really helps me stay focused, especially if there's an audience. And if I'm feeling nervous, just think about your sound, get into your sound, really get your ears locked into what you're doing. Performing is really about having a really great focus. I mean, you have to know how to play, but we work on that in our practice rooms. But training yourself to focus is a whole other animal. So really practice listening this week to yourself and refocusing when you find that your mind is going everywhere. So other than sounding point, my other thing that I work on personally is my elbow, because a lot of times it likes to fall, and we want to have our best sound all the time. So what we try to do is have your elbow at the string, the level of the string that you're on. So E string, your elbow is going to be a little bit lower. A string, D string, G string, get your elbow up so you can get across in a nice motion. Instead of like this, you're not going to have much sound. I see a lot of low elbows in my students, and I'm always reminding them, but I have to remind myself also, because it's easy to just let it fall, or to let it start falling if you feel tired or if your mind is wandering. So I always try to bring my focus back to my sounding point and my elbow. And that really helps me stay focused. So your mind plays a big part in what you're doing with your instrument. So the third thing what we're going to talk about is imagination, using your imagination in your music. Now, last week we talked about creating a story. The bow tells the story. Another thing you need to add to your practice habits is using your imagination to create new sounds. And one thing I tell my students is to practice peanut butter bowing. And so what you want to do is pretend you're bowing through a big vat of peanut butter. It's so thick, you have to use your imagination, and it's so hard to get the bow across the string, but you're going to get this luscious sound, as luscious as you can get. And I always tell my students, if you can hear it, you can play it. So imagine the sound you want to create. Is it going to be angry? Is it going to be sad? So hear the sound you want to make in your head first and then try to express it. And that's why we practice, to try out different sounds in your practice corner. And then when you get to the stage, you can share your story. So I have my students practice peanut butter bows on their scales. It's very helpful. Go from the frog to the tip as slow as you can with this luscious sound. Get your elbow up. Think about your sounding point this week, okay? That will help you refocus when your mind starts to wander. Okay, so if you can hear it, you can play it. Don't forget that the bow tells the story. Try out different sounds with your bow. Peanut butter bows this week on your scales. And I'm very excited this week because I'm going to try to learn this new piece that I have. It's called Ferdinand. It's really hard, but it makes me excited to learn it because I just want to try learning these crazy notes. A lot of chords and a lot of fast notes. And so that's what I'm excited about this week. So work on your focus this week. Work on listening to yourself while you're playing. Your sounding point is important. Use your imagination to create new sounds. Try out peanut butter bows. And if your mind wanders, that happens to all of us, just get back. Reshift your focus back to what you're doing, especially to your sounding point and your elbow. Okay, have a good week, guys. I miss you. Bye.